I remember the echo first. My own meow bouncing off the walls of a dark hallway that smelled of wet leaves and old paint. I was hungry, cold, and small enough to fit under a step. Then footsteps stopped nearby. Two voices, one soft, one lower, whispering. "Do you hear that? It's a kitten. Somewhere here." Their flashlight caught my eyes. I froze. For a moment, the world was quiet, just my heart pounding in the dust. Then warm hands lifted me, careful and trembling. I was wrapped in a jacket that smelled like rain and coffee. In their apartment, everything was strange. Bright lights, soft blankets, the sound of water running in a kitchen sink. I hid under a chair at first, peeking at them. They spoke gently, trying to guess what I liked, what I'd eat. I didn't know either. I only knew this. I didn't want to be alone again, but I heard them talk later that night. "We can't keep him. We both work all day, and we're not allowed pets." Their voices were sad, quiet. I didn't understand the words, but I felt the distance in their tone. The next morning, they made phone calls. I could tell something was wrong. Every call ended the same. A tired sigh, a disappointed look. The word shelter kept repeating. I learned that sound. It meant uncertainty. When they finally reached one, the answer came sharp and final. "No space. You can release him, he'll manage." Release me? Into the cold streets again? I didn't know what release meant exactly, but their silence after that told me enough. That night, I sat between them on the couch. The window showed rain streaking down the glass, and the world outside looked endless. The man sighed and said, "We can't just throw him out. It's autumn." The woman nodded. "We'll figure something out." I purred for the first time then. Not because I understood, but because warmth surrounded me, and for that night I felt safe. Days passed, and the box they'd put my toys in stayed by the door, like a silent reminder that I wasn't supposed to stay. I didn't understand why they smiled at me but still kept searching on their phones every night. I heard them say things like, "Maybe Sarah can take him," or "There's another shelter 2 towns away." They tried everything. Calls, messages, even posting my photo online. I sat beside them as they scrolled through faces and names, my tail flicking, pretending I didn't know. But I could feel it, the quiet guilt in the room. Finally, one evening, the woman smiled. "Emily said she wants him. She's always wanted a cat." The man looked relieved. "Good. He'll be happier there." They packed my toys, my little blanket, and carried me into the car. I pressed my nose against the window as the city moved by. Lights, leaves, people. Everything felt too big again. When we arrived, Emily's house smelled different. She was kind, with a soft voice and warm hands. She said, "Hi, little one," and touched my head gently. At first, I tried to behave, ate carefully, stayed quiet, explored slowly. But I was young and curious. I climbed curtains, chased shadows, bit a few things that didn't seem very biteable. Emily would laugh sometimes, then sigh other times. After a week, her laughter stopped. I overheard her on the phone. "He's sweet, but I can't keep up with him. He's too wild." The next day, the couple came back for me. I recognized their scent before they even spoke. I ran to them and rubbed my face against their legs. Emily smiled sadly and said, "He needs people who understand him better." Back in the car, I lay between them, quiet. No one spoke for a long time. The sky was gray, and the wind pushed orange leaves across the road. The woman finally said, "He's not bad, just playful." The man nodded. "He deserves a chance. Maybe that shelter in Greenfield still has space." They called again, and this time someone said yes. I didn't know what yes meant, but their eyes softened. We drove for hours until we reached a small building at the edge of a forest. It smelled like metal, soap, and fur. They handed me to a woman in a green jacket. Her hands were kind, but they didn't tremble like theirs had when they first picked me up. I meowed once, softly, as they turned to leave. The door closed, the sound echoed, and I was alone again. The first night in the shelter was cold, even though the air wasn't. The room was full of soft noises, paws against cages, quiet meows, the metal clink of bowls. I curled up in the corner and watched other cats sleep. Some were calm. Some just stared like me. They gave me shots that burned for a second. My paws trembled when the needle touched my skin, and I tried to hide my face in the towel. The humans spoke softly, but I didn't understand their comfort. Every sound still felt too sharp, too new. Days turned into weeks. I watched cats come and go. A door would open, voices would rise in excitement, and then, another cage empty. But not mine. I tried everything. I pressed my paw through the bars when someone walked by. Sometimes they stopped and smiled. Sometimes they didn't even see me. I started to wonder if maybe no one ever would. Then one morning, the shelter buzzed with noise. Tables, posters, humans everywhere. They called it an adoption day. They cleaned our cages, brushed our fur, and told us to look our best. I didn't know what that meant, but I sat still and watched. Families came, laughed, pointed. They picked up kittens, stroked soft heads, and left with carriers. One by one, my neighbors disappeared. The air grew quieter, emptier. When the crowd thinned, I stopped looking. I rested my head on my paws and closed my eyes. That's when I felt it. A tiny hand touching the metal bars. I opened one eye. A girl stood there, maybe 8 or 9. She didn't rush, didn't squeal. She just looked at me, long enough that I felt something shift inside. Like she actually saw me, not the cage or the tag with my name. Her voice was small. "He looks lonely." Her mother knelt beside her. "Are you sure, sweetheart? There are so many others." The girl nodded. "No, I want him." The next thing I knew, the cage door opened. She held me close, my head resting under her chin. I could feel her heartbeat, fast and real. The world outside was bright, full of sounds and smells I hadn't known for so long. But it didn't matter. Her arms were steady. At home, my new bed was soft, the food warm, and the window wide enough to watch the world without fear. I purred that night until I fell asleep. Not because I was full or warm, but because, finally, someone had chosen me. Someone had seen me,